Welcome to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. Today we're talking about personalities and what your Enneagram number brings to the holidays. Join us as we share how we're using this helpful tool to bring more peace and understanding to the family dynamics at Christmas. Let's get started. Listeners, today we're talking about personalities and what your Enneagram number brings to the holidays. And I think this is a topic we can all use because taking a bunch of people with all their different likes and dislikes and ways of doing things and bringing them together for the most wonderful time of the year has the potential to be really great or really not so great. And as the ringmasters of Christmas, we moms can use all the help we can get understanding the family dynamics of Christmas. Do you agree?
Yes.
I really do feel like we are still ringmasters. At some point, we will be like more audience members. And maybe that'll be a sad day, but kind of in a way I look forward to like showing up at someone else's house and they're the ringmaster and I just get to participate. But right now, we are still kind of the ones planning and saying what's going to happen and, all that. And so it really is so helpful if we can think about all the people that we're gathering in our home and what are their personalities and how can we make this go more smoothly.
Yeah. And if you can know ahead and then be intentional about how maybe what you're going to ask them or not ask them or ways you might engage with them or ask them to participate. And just knowing that some people don't want to participate is helpful, so nobody gets their feelings hurt.
I was thinking that too, even providing space for the people that, some people are going to want to do that fun activity and some people are going to want to go to their room for a little while to be ready for all of those different characters coming to your room.
Yes. Well, listeners, I'm sure that you've heard of the Enneagram because I think that most people have. But if you haven't, it's a personality assessment based on human desire and fear. It's a great tool that helps us give language to our behavior based on our greatest fears and motivations. And the Enneagram has been around for a long time, and modern psychology has taken the 9-point circle that the Enneagram is based on and turned it into a current personality profiling system. And that's a lot of big words for just kind of explaining, like, why do we do what we do? Why are we who we are? And I know that I found it so helpful to learn about myself and so helpful to learn about other people. And there are 9 types of people, and each of us falls into one of these numbers more strongly than another. And keep in mind that you may relate to many types because we're humans and complex, and no number can fully describe who we are. But the beauty of the Enneagram is that it really taps into our motivations and our fears. It should never box us in, though. It should only be a tool. And I think that's where a lot of listeners maybe kind of think, I don't need to listen. I don't want to be in a box. It's not a box. It's just a tool. I find it helpful when I think about gathering my family around me or even understanding the people that live in my house better. I find it just one more tool in my toolbox to figure out why they are or why they maybe act the way they do, and, just kind of gives a little bit of insight.
Yeah. And each type, they list their motivation, their main motivation and their main fear. And I try not to focus on like maybe all the behaviors, like so that you don't put that person in a box, like, well, they're going to act like this. But just knowing someone's basic fear, that tells you a whole lot and it can explain a whole lot, like their behaviors might not fit everything it says on the paper for an 8 or a 9. But if you understand the basic motivation and fear that someone has, then you can kind of, read into, into things, it's just very helpful. I love that it's based on that.
We're basing our discussion here today off an article we read this week entitled, What Your Enneagram Number Brings to the Holidays. And the good news is that it suggests the Enneagram can help us get through the holidays with less family drama. And were you guys excited to read this article? Did you think, oh yeah, I really want to try this?
Yes, just because, it's a time when people who don't live together anymore, maybe who once did live together, siblings, and they're spending a more concentrated time together. And sometimes you're adding new people who don't understand your family dynamics. So I think it's just helpful to know how they operate, what's going on in their mind.
Mm-hmm.
You
right.
know,
Any tool to help a big gathering of people, get along better is 100% excellent in my book, especially because there is so much expected. We all mentioned, we agree we are the ringleaders. And if people are coming to your home, you're kind of the one in charge. And so if you can help set the tone or navigate situations or personalities, hey, that's where, we all want peace and we all need to end on a good note.
right.
Right. The author described the Enneagram type as what we learned we had to be in order to survive, to get attention when we were children. It's the tactics we chose in order to get our way. When we go home for the holidays and we are around our families of origin for any extended period of time, our personality type can become more amplified and vivid. This is so true. I mean, I know that just kind of walking back into my house, not into my house, like into my mom's house, say we were all gathering at my mom's and all my siblings were going to be there. You do kind of fall into like your traditional role. Have you guys found that about yourselves?
Well, I find this interesting because I am an only child. So I do not have siblings. So I only have observed my own children. But I do see that play out, like, the oldest and how they treat the younger ones, and then the middle child, and
Yes,
there do seem to be some stereotypical behaviors.
Definitely. I totally agree. Yes. So that birth order and these Enneagram types, I mean, it's amazing how they kind of go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully they've matured, though, because none of them are children anymore. They are my children, but they're not children. So I hope, I don't know. It was funny the way she said it made their behaviors more amplified and vivid. It sounded kind of rough.
Yeah. Well, she wrote that once we know to look for it, the pattern of behavior we turn to when we aren't getting what we want is easy to spot in ourselves. I guess I've never heard the Enneagram described as that's what we do when we're not getting what we want. Right. We've spent a lifetime perfecting it, whether that behavior means taking over or fading into the background, constantly trying to serve others or winning at all costs, picking a fight or shutting down. The strategies we rely on are the ones we sometimes unknowingly use when our needs clash with the demands of people around us. And so I can definitely see that, like, we've had some family vacations where we've all gone, my siblings and I, and then we've brought our families along. And it is just funny how even our kids can see how we kind of go back into our certain roles. And so definitely personality types are amplified. And like you said, Julie, with our kids, like, you can start to see, like, everybody gets along for about the first half hour. And then, like, say they sit down to start to try and play a game together. All of a sudden, you can see those personalities come out right from the time they start trying to describe the rules of the game.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so true. We had the funniest family scenario, and it was so vivid to me because we're sitting around our Thanksgiving table and all the siblings were there. And we posed something to the group. And I just happened to be looking at Grant. His first reaction was to look at Abby to see, like, how do we feel about this? And that was so classic. Second child, like, Abby was like the bossy one. And I can say that. She's the oldest. And I was like, oh my gosh, it took me back to when they were little toddlers. And when anything happened, Grant would look to Abby first, like, how is she reacting? That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I kind of thought about, like, okay, how might this play out at our house, like during a holiday or on a vacation? And I thought, okay, sevens just want to have fun, as much fun as possible. They might even get bored with what's going on. And that, being around a seven might be a five's worst nightmare. Like, I just need to be alone. And then the sixes, which I am, would be, hey, this is not what I planned for this hour. Like, let me get back to the schedule. And then the nines in the room just want everybody to be happy.
Let's just all get along.
Yeah. So there's lots of conflicting emotions going on at the same time.
Right. So I think it's real easy, and I fall into this trap too, of just thinking that the way that you see something or the way that you react to something is the way that other people see it and react to it. And that's the biggest part about the Enneagram for me, is just trying to remember that other people don't necessarily think or feel the same way I do. Right. Even though it seems so obvious that my way is the right way, because I'm a one. And that's a characteristic of one that I need to
Yes, Marie.
constantly remind myself of. So yeah, we definitely want to talk about like our own, how our own Enneagram numbers play into the holidays, because it's real easy to laugh at our kids, but how do our own
Right.
Enneagram numbers play into the holidays?
Right.
Okay, so what does each number and type bring to the season or gathering? All right, so let's start with our own numbers. Let's talk about what we are and what this article said that we bring to the gathering. So Julie, do you want to go first? You said you're a 6.
Yeah, and this article said I'm known as the guardian. I've never heard that. I think in the Enneagram, you're known as the loyalist, I think is the official title. But a type 6 unique ability is preparing for every holiday crisis. Like this is specifically pertaining to holidays. So I do like to plan and prepare like down to the last bit of food. I have lists going the whole month of December. I'm prepping food. I've talked about this before that I have all these gift lists going around like on my phone and in the drawers, and I'm just getting them out and making sure everybody's equal, like everybody's getting the same amount, even size and money wise, and just driving myself crazy. And then, I have backup plans. So that's a 6 likes to be prepared. And they like to have backup plans, and they often think about worst case scenarios. And then they said the best gift for a 6, and this is what you want from other people, is for others not to downplay my anxieties or concern. Like it'd be nice if I'm thinking about worst case scenarios on a vacation to have somebody say, well, I'm really glad you thought of that. Hopefully we won't need that, but I'm glad you're prepared. Instead of like, oh, Mom,
you're always worry wart.
Yeah. Like someday you're going to be glad I had that backup plan.
Right.
Take note, king children.
Yes. Although 2 of them are 6s as well. So maybe they already do. I don't know.
Well, it sounds like you guys are like, you have multiple backup plans.
Yeah.
Maybe they're clashing with each other.
Yeah.
Well, Mindy, what are you?
Okay. Well, I've taken this quiz multiple times, and I go between a 7 and a 9. And I really think I just took it the other day, in fact, and I think because of the season, the 9 won out because the 9 is a calm, peaceful, stable presence. They're the peacemaker.
Okay.
And I could so see that raining out over the 7, which is the enthusiast, which you're the fun seeker. And so I've had conversations with my daughter about this because she said, well, Mom, you're a really healthy 7. So a lot of the things that it puts out for 7 is just very shallow. And I'm like, that's not me. But when it really comes down to it, I do long for everyone to be happy, to have a good time. And I can flex. But at the same time, I bring a lot of fun to it. So if everyone's happy, then I can jump into that 7. And I'm always planning games and activities and things like that. But in the end, it's because I want everyone to be happy and get along. And I know that if I don't plan the fun activities, people are going to bicker. Right. So I see these two like going hand in hand in my home.
You're trying to keep the peace by bringing fun.
Yes. And so I will tell you this, it stresses me out. And I have mentioned before that the holidays kind of suck the life out of me because I do not like being in charge of all the planning and the organizing and all that stuff. I have to do it because I host. I have learned some skills through the years of having a lot of children, a lot of schedules, a lot of people. It is not my forte, but I have to do it.
And so that's why it kind of drains you.
You're more on the 9 side then.
I think, okay, yes, that's why I was like, okay, this actually makes sense that the 9 would win because that is my motivation. Is my goal in life is to raise good human beings and them all to get along. That's
let's all get along
and let's have fun doing it. The best gift, I guess, is where I'm at with this conversation. I actually don't agree. So I'm going to make up my own best gift.
Okay. What did they say their best gift would be?
the article says the best gift for the peacemaker is to pay attention when they speak.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I could care less about that.
Mm.
The best gift you could give the peacemaker is for everybody else to be happy.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Because
it's for there to be no fighting.
That brings me joy.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'll yell at them if I need to, because I'm fine with that.
Right.
But I really, truly desire my head will lay down peacefully on the pillow at night, and I will sleep soundly with joy in my heart if nobody fights.
Right. It would be easier for people to just listen to what you have to say.
So I was going to say, you really want them to hear this, Mindy. So
shut up and get along. No.
Yes. Okay. Well, as I said before, I am a 1, and the 1, I hate the name of the 1, the perfectionist, because it already is so off-putting to people. But I am a 1 with a strong wing 2, which is the helper. So it says that 1s know how to turn the hurry of the holidays into a structured, easy-to-follow schedule, complete with breaks for photo ops and hot cocoa. They're the uncles who create spreadsheets on their iPhones to tally points during game night. They're the cousins who keep family heirloom recipes digitized. Okay, they post printed maps. Okay, none of this stuff really applies to me because I don't do any of that, but I am able to take a chaotic, unstructured time and bring some order to it. Okay, I'm not going to delve down into like a spreadsheet. That's not me. Mm-hmm. But I will lay out very clear parameters, boundaries, things we're doing, when I want you to show up, what's going to be happening, put a smile on your face, let's get this done. That's the kind of 1 that I am. It says their longing to do the right thing is admirable, but their focus on how to improve the world can sometimes come across as being a little too particular. And I do know that about myself, but like I said, in the mind of a 1, it would just be so much better if you did it the right way.
What is the right way again, Marie?
My way.
Well, Marie, I'm seeing here in this article, they called the 1 the reformer. Maybe you like that title better.
Yes, I have seen that.
You're reforming the world to the right way. So,
and it says that a 1's unique ability is to create order amid chaos. And so I have 5 kids. We've always lived in a smaller type house. We've always had a ton going on, but I feel like I can look at like what we have going on or what the resources we have and somehow plan and bring together what we need out of it. And I actually enjoy doing that. If people would get out of my way and let me do it.
I would so let you do that. Come take over.
So that leads to the gift.
Yeah, that leads to the gift. Release control and let them take charge of the things that matter to them.
Nice.
Isn't that everything?
Well, I feel like that's kind of a picture of our marriage a little bit between Steve and I, because there are things that I've asked him to like be in control of over the years, and then he does not do it the way that I wanted. So I'm like, let me just do it. Let me just do it. And I need to not do that. But you'll find that if you live with a 1, they're probably, rather than trying to teach you how to do it, they're just going to go ahead and do it because then it'll be done the way they want it. Mindy's raising her hand.
I'm happily married to a 1. I love it so much. I truly appreciate the 1. That is not my skill set.
Okay, but I do have a strong helper wing. I know I'm talking a big game about like, do it my way, but I also really do have a helper wing, but it's with boundaries. The problem is I usually set those boundaries right up until the point I collapse. So that is why I am so drained by Christmas, because it said that the 2s are hosting Christmas. And I'm not this part of the 2s. I'm not including personalized gifts in their guest rooms with fluffy pillows and everyone's favorite food. Like, that's not the 2 part of me. But the 2s part of me is like naturals at seeing the needs of others. They feel it is their duty, which a lot of 1s feel they need to do their duty. It is their duty to meet those needs, even if it requires sacrificing their own energy. And this makes them hospitable and warm hosts and house guests, but it can also quickly drain them if they don't communicate their own needs. And I think that that's why the holidays drain me, is because I'm constantly sensing the needs of others. Is this person happy? what could I do to make this person doesn't look like they're having fun. Oh, this person needs
Yeah.
that. And then I'm constantly turning myself inside out trying to meet all those needs. And that is very draining. And it says the best gift for an Enneagram 2 is to notice their efforts and say thank you. And I do think that a lot of Enneagram 2s just want to be thanked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like someone notice what they did and say, wow, you did a great job. You made that really special. Or thank you for getting up so early and putting this all together. Or thanks for cleaning all that up. Or thanks for buying all those gifts or wrapping all those gifts or doing whatever they're doing. I think Enneagram 2s like to be thanked. So if you live with a 2, be sure and thank them.
I'll say that goes across the board. You can thank all of us.
Yeah, sure, Mom. Well, I'm glad you mentioned the wings because we hadn't talked about that in case you don't know what that means. Like the number that comes that lies on either side of your number, you also could possibly share some of those traits too. So like for me, I think I'm a 6 with a 7 wing. Like I do like to have fun. I like to have fun. And it says the best gift for a 7 is allow them to seek entertainment, even if it means stepping away from the group. And that is really true. Like I will go do something by myself if nobody else wants to do it because I think it's fun. Like I want to have fun. I don't want to sit there and just veg on the couch. Like, no, let's get up and go. I'm always trying to get the group moving and to do something fun. And sometimes it gets to be too much. Like for my 5s, they're like, Mom, let's just, we're okay. Just chill.
Right.
So,
Yes.
I don't know about the wing thing. What's an 8?
It says the 8 is the boss. A lack of leadership is painful for an 8. They will take over out of a sense of duty if they sense a weakness in this area. 8s might announce a family activity without discussion or decide on a meal plan without input because they don't feel they need a committee's help to make the holidays run like clockwork. I love that. Like
that might be my wing.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't need to poll 55 people on what they want for dinner. We're just coming up with a meal plan and you choose from what I have.
Yeah. Make an executive decision.
Definitely me. Okay. Well, thanks for that.
Yes. And that's like right in the middle of 7 and 9, Mindy, which is you're kind of like all over those 7, 8, 9s.
Because anytime the one things happen, I recognize the one things and I detest when I have to do one things, when I have to act that way.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you're relating that to being more of an 8,
I don't know. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. I want to have all of my people take this quiz.
Yes. Okay. There are a lot of different people in our family. One that has really helped me is to learn about type 5s. And Julie, you shared a funny story about an uncle that was a 5. Can you share that?
Yeah, this was a meme and it said, I think this was like a family member. Hold on, let me find it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a family member saying, my uncle walked into Christmas, filled a plate, ate in a separate room, and then left. He was here 4 minutes. And then they said he was a 5.
And that is obviously like an exaggeration of 5s, but not too far off because I have a 5 and it has helped me so much. Before I knew that he was a 5, I would try to turn myself inside out trying to make him happy. Like, why isn't he having fun? Why isn't he joining in? Why is he out there watching football when we're all in here playing a game? Why did he go upstairs early? Like, I would wonder, like, I must be making him mad. Like, if you have a 5 in your life and you don't know they're a 5, it can be really frustrating for you. But once I realized, it says that 5s genuinely enjoy being around people, but their energy levels are limited. It's common for them to disappear from the group for an hour or 2 each day. This is not a rejection of you.
Yep.
How freeing.
Yeah, I actually have 2 5s, my son and a son-in-law, and it was so helpful. I know I've shared this story probably more than once, but when we were taking a big family vacation with all of us, I kind of tried to get to know each person's personality just to kind of help things go smoother. And my son-in-law needs a lot of downtime and alone time and just time to regroup. And one night we were all going out to dinner after being together all day, and he chose to stay in the house. He said, I just want to read my book. And I might have felt that as rejection of our family had I not known that this is just very normal. Like he even does this at home. He needs this. And then with my son, David, he does love social interaction. So he must be some other wing that brings him out because he's very social, but he just knows he limits that. Like he needs that time to regroup too and to refresh. But it said that fives, and I love this description, fives are people that are more comfortable with data than people. And that so described my son, David. Like, he's just this wealth of knowledge. Like, he's really fun when he comes over. I just can't wait to have a good conversation with him because he knows a lot about a lot of things, And I don't want to say trivia because it's good stuff. It's not just trivial. But one of the things in the article said the 5 is a thinker. And it said, if you want to know the story of Saint Nick or the origin of the Christmas tree, then they're the one you go to. So it's like, I saw another meme this week and it said that, like a wife was saying, honey, come on down. The Christmas party's starting. And he said, I'll be there in a minute. I'm researching why eggnog became a thing, Like they get into this, they want to know all this information. They're constantly like researching things, and sometimes they can forget about people because they're so interested in information. I thought that really sums up my son.
One of the things we talked about earlier was that the Enneagram focuses kind of on, or Julie, you said like if we can understand the fear behind each number, and we haven't said that, but like I was looking at this and it says the fear of ones, their biggest fear is being thought of as corrupt or evil. And then the fear for twos, their biggest fear is being unwanted or unloved. And so because I am made up of both of those, I really can relate to those fears. Did you guys look at the fears that it said that your numbers have?
Oh, yeah. My biggest fear is to be unsupported and without guidance, or our biggest longing is for security and support. And that is definitely true. And I think that's why a 6 is always trying to shore up everything, like because they so long for that security, they have all these backup plans.
So it says that the 9's biggest fear is loss and separation. And that is definitely true for me. I feel successful when I'm having a moment with someone else and, around the home. And so even every Sunday when we go to church, this is a weekly, daily thing. I feel like I need to have one meaningful conversation, like every time I go to the gym. So every day I even try to have one meaningful conversation. So just that, that connecting with somebody else. And I try to make sure, and that's where it comes out that I want to make someone else have a great day. I genuinely feel that I want to make people's lives better when they've been around me.
I see that.
I do too. Yeah. When it talks about the motivation behind why you do what you do, it says that the ones, they want to be good, to have integrity, and to be balanced. And the 2s, they want to feel loved. My goal this season, in the Christmas season, should be to be patient with change and accept that things are good just as they are. So like not be trying to reform or perfect everything. And then if I'm looking at my 2 wing, my goal this season is to remember my own needs. And the best help and love comes from someone who loves themselves. So make sure you are addressing what you need first. And this can be hard. You always hear that as a mom. And it's so easy, though, to give into the tyranny of the urgent. And it might seem like everyone else's needs are just so urgent that you can't take care of your own. But we've talked about on the podcast many times, like we need to lay out ahead of time where we think we're going to be able to get recharged so that we can make it through this marathon of a holiday season.
Right.
Yeah. What were your biggest motivations and what's your seasonal goal?
So my biggest motivation is to, like I said, to have security and support. And for the holiday season, the article said, just to be mindful of how and when anxiety rises up in you. And that's hard to notice. But it says more than any of the other types, I'm reliant on systems and belief systems. And when those are threatened, it causes great anxiety. And that is so true. I mean, in almost every area of life, like belief systems are very important to me. And some of those I've kind of been dismantling over the last few years and tried to be more open to other ways of seeing things. And that really feels less threatening. It really does.
I'm thinking of how you shared last week about your belief system about how we never open Christmas presents before Christmas Day.
Right.
And this year you broke out of that a little bit and you were so glad that you had opened some with your daughter at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and that seems like kind of a small example, but it's very freeing. And also to remember that fear does not help me move forward for good. It almost always paralyzes. And I know that from experience. And that is something I am fighting is fear for my future. And, fear is a normal part of life, but to not let it take over and cause me to, I don't know, try to take control and plan, because I can't plan for everything.
Right.
It's so many things are beyond our control, and just realizing that and learning to trust the Lord more. And that's what I want to say too, is I did not like the Enneagram at first because of the whole putting you in a box. But I do think our personalities can be transformed by God. Like they don't, like there's a healthy version of this and an unhealthy version. And God can transform all parts of us, the unhealthy parts of us, and use our personalities, and our gifts.
Amen, Julie. Thank you for saying that, because I struggled with that too. Is like, well, I'm not always that way, And you look at the fruits of the Spirit, and God can work all of those in you.
Right.
All right. So my biggest motivation during the holiday season is to have inner stability and a peaceful mind. How many times, actually, this makes me laugh, because how many times have I said, I need things to be the same this year? I really need things to not change this year.
Okay.
I mean, I have said that like many times. And so reading this little paragraph kind of cracked me up. Okay, seriously, who does this sound like? During the holiday season, make note of your motivations. Are you avoiding your own needs and brushing things under the rug to avoid conflict? Give voice to your inner world, and remember that bearing emotion and negative feelings is not actually dealing with them. Here's the kicker. You can be unaware of your own body and emotion. So make a practice to exercise this season for the ways that it is connective and will make you more aware of your own feelings and body. And I was like, oh, that's my goodness.
Totally you, Mindy.
I'm like, how many times have I said I need to make sure I exercise?
Right.
Because there it is.
Yeah.
I need peace, stability, and exercise.
Yes. The same author of the article, Sarah Jane Case, also has an Instagram account about Enneagrams. And she posted a funny thing about holiday parties by Enneagram type. And so let's just go through here and talk about them. Okay, so it says that ones, for holiday parties, they set a goal for what work they need to accomplish in order to enjoy themselves at the party. So I think that that's just so funny that they've got to get all their ducks in a row before they can have fun. And twos, they bring the best gift for White Elephant and leave with the worst. I would say that I have a 2 wing, but this never happens to me because my competitiveness of ones runs out, and I always want to get a good gift for the White Elephant.
Nice.
I always want to go home with a good gift.
Wow.
So when we do Dirty Santa at our family Christmas every year, we're kind of a competitive family, and it can turn into, we have to try to be very intentional about not getting out of hand over these $10 gifts. Like, they are only $10 gifts. Like, we all can afford to go out and buy that gift, but we just get lost in the competition of the game.
People over things.
Yes. All right. Julie, why don't you tell us what 3s and 4s do?
Okay, a 3. Now, is this Steve?
Yes.
Steve a 3? Okay.
I say my daughter is a 3 too, and I may have another son that's a 3.
It says 3s through the party as head of the committee. So,
yes.
Do you see that in your 3s?
Well, I could see him like this. I think is a lot about work parties. And I definitely think I definitely notice like he leads a team at work and he would want them to all be happy and like, figure out how to express appreciation for what they've done. And I think that having an end of the year party is something that a lot of people in the business world feel like is showing appreciation for employees.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see that.
The 4, also known as the individualist, finds the one person who will go deep with them and talks to them for most of the time. I don't think I know a 4.
I know a 4, but I don't have one in my family.
I might have one in my family.
Okay. Mindy, what did the 5 and 6s do?
All right. So the 5 charms everyone and then pulls a quick goodbye. If they say goodbye at all.
Right. That's true, Mindy. If they say goodbye at all.
Like, nobody's paying attention. I'm out.
Like, where are they?
I'll see them next week.
Saying goodbye takes a really long time. That's a lot of talking. So, all right. 6s. They ask really good questions.
Mm-hmm. They do.
I don't know if that's true or not.
I don't know. I think you do.
I think you ask good questions, Julie. You came up with the questions for this episode.
Yes, you did.
Okay. All right. Number 7, they jump around from group to group. So they're going to probably be friends with everyone in the office, and they're going to make sure they see everyone at the office Christmas party. And 8s, they either can't conceptualize the importance of this, so why even have the office party, or would rather just go back to work, or shuts the party down, like, okay, enough fun. They have no in between.
So shuts the party down, they're having the most fun?
Oh, no, I think it's probably like, all right, we said it was going to end at 3. Yeah. 3 o'clock is here. We're back to work.
Yeah.
Rude.
All right. Julie, what do 9s do?
9s wait patiently for their turn to talk. That turn never comes.
This one made me laugh the most because my son-in-law is a 9 and our family is big. And he's been in our family, like around our gatherings, since he was about, 16 or 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably gotten better about it, but I honestly don't know because it kind of is like that a lot. Like it's like the end of the night and I'm like, oh, I didn't hear from Nick. I mean, he was there participating, but he's the 9 waiting patiently for his turn to talk, but that turn never comes.
Aw.
So I need to make a note to self this holiday season and shine the spotlight on him.
He might be perfectly happy there.
I was going to say, he probably loves observing.
Oh gosh, this is one case that is so not me. But I did have something really funny to say. My youngest son, I want to know what he is on the Enneagram because the enthusiast part of me wants to give people like experiences, quality time, a great event, where you make memories. To me, like that's the ultimate good gift. Well, my youngest son, who really is like, he gets along with everybody. I would love to know because he's good at everything. But he literally said, Mom, do not get me any lessons for Christmas. I know you like to give people lessons for things. Do not give me any lessons. I'm like, what? Don't you want to learn how to play golf or tennis or, have another piano teacher? You've been learning on your own for a while. Don't do it, Mom. Do not give me lessons.
That's so funny because you've shared on the podcast that you've like given him like gymnastic lessons, piano lessons, like all these.
He asked.
Yeah, right. Like you're more than willing to give lessons, and maybe he's just expressing a desire and doesn't expect an immediate learning opportunity.
Not right now.
He's seeing a pattern here.
Not right now, Mom.
If I say I'm interested in something, my mom hires me a coach.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. He mentioned he wanted to play golf, and I'm thinking, ooh, golf lessons. I was like, no.
That's funny. Mindy, you had a funny thing about what holiday movie your Enneagram number might be.
Well, when Julie came up with this amazing topic, I was sitting on the couch watching a movie the other night, and I started deep diving into Christmas personality. I just Googled it, and then all these things popped up about who is your movie character or what Christmas movie would you be for your Enneagram and all this. I was like, oh, that's super cool. And so I looked for quizzes, but didn't find a good one.
So what movie are you, Mindy? Like, what is it, a character? Is it a whole movie? Like, where'd you go with that?
The best way to spread Christmas cheer is singing loud for all to hear.
She just wants everybody to be happy and cheerful.
And so you are what
Smiling's
movie?
my favorite.
Yeah.
I'm Elf.
Okay. I thought that's where you were going.
When I'm stable and things are at peace, I'm so Elf.
Mm-hmm.
I could
Yes.
see that.
In your healthiest Enneagram time.
Yes.
Okay, Julie, what kind of a Christmas movie character do you think you are?
Well, two movies come to mind. The first and most obvious is A Christmas Story, where the little boy wants the Red Ryder BB gun, and the mom says, "No, you'll shoot your eye out."
Oh.
So that's the mom who's thinking of the worst case scenario. So she's
Right.
not going to get her little boy what he really wants.
Uh-huh.
And then the other one, I thought about Home Alone because we just watched that the other night, and I thought, that boy has a plan. He even draws it out on a map. He draws a map of his house out and all his tactics to use against the robbers. And he has so many cool backup plans. So I love that part of him.
Oh, okay.
So
That's funny.
Kevin's probably a 6, yeah.
Well, I guess if I was going to pick something, since I can only think of one holiday movie I even like right now, but there's probably two. But I do like Christmas with the Craigs. And I think I probably am like that mom because she wants to do all the things that you should at Christmas. Mm-hmm. And her husband is not wanting to do all the things you should. He's like, let's get rid of the Christmas cards. What do we even need to be home on Christmas Day for? Like all this.
Right.
And then also at the last minute when she gets thrown the circumstances that she has to throw a holiday party like that night. She's like, okay, what do I have on hand? What do I need to get? And how can I pull this off? And I feel like I'm better at last minute stuff like that. Like I'd rather have a finite, limited amount of things to work with and try to make something out of that than have like the 4 weeks to plan and I can go in any direction. Then I just shut down because I can't make any decisions.
Yes.
So ones like to make order out of chaos. So
Yes.
That's a perfect example. Yeah.
I love that movie, Marie, too.
Yeah,
So
now,
much.
hopefully you're not, going to the tanning bed. And
That's what I was thinking, in a bikini and going to the tanning bed.
Yeah, another funny thing I saw was this meme, and it was actually a photo of someone playing Uno, the card game.
Mm-hmm.
And they had drawn one of those cards that says draw 25 cards and they left that part blank. Like, what would be the worst thing that you'd have to do instead of drawing 25 cards for your type?
Easy.
What?
Easy.
This is so easy. And there's a big difference in my mind. If somebody said to plan a formal dinner party, I'd want to poke my eye out with a fork.
Or draw the 25 cards.
I'd be drawing the 25 cards. Now, if it's a fun, casual dinner party, I'm 100% for that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a huge difference in my mind.
Okay. Yeah.
Formal? No.
Okay. What about you? Was it easy for you, Julie?
Yeah, for me, it's like, somebody got me an all expense paid trip for Christmas, but I wasn't allowed to pack until the night before.
Oh.
No packing, because I pack y'all a week or two ahead of a trip.
Okay.
And I repack and all that. So that would be, I'd probably draw the 25 cards instead of.
Yeah.
How about you, Marie?
I don't know. I hadn't seen this till right before we recorded. And Mindy said, I know what it would be for Marie. What did you say it would be, Mindy?
Somebody asked you to cook all the food.
Yeah. It is true that I like to delegate out the cooking.
Yeah.
Maybe the cooking is like we're spending Christmas Eve. My son and his wife are coming over and he offered to make fancy grilled cheeses and homemade tomato soup for the gathering. And I was like, yes, you want to cook it? Fine with me. Like that was such a weight off my shoulder not to think about what do all these people want to need to eat. Like, and now I can just say to people that are coming, Davis said he wants to make this. And this is what we're having.
Marie, something I've noticed with Bryce is that with the ones, you're great planners and organizers, but getting down into the murky details is sometimes horrible for you. Like
more of a big
the
picture.
Small, minute details just wear you out. But you're like, you got the major plan going. You're fine
like
with
I've
the big
already
plan.
coordinated the people and what we're doing.
Cast the vision.
The food is immaterial to me.
Yeah.
But I know it's important to other people.
There you go.
I thought for a 5, draw 25 cards, or you have to say yes to all social invitations. You can't say no. You have to go to all of them.
Yeah. They'll just draw the whole deck right there.
Yeah. What do you think? For a 7, I thought you have to make a to-do list.
Oh, okay.
My husband won't write a thing down. He will not make a list. And I think, gosh, this is so helpful. This is such a great tool. And he refuses to write anything down.
I'll have to ask my daughter if she does lists or not. She's a 7. And I honestly am not sure if she does a list or not.
Yeah.
I had to learn to do lists.
Mm-hmm.
You start forgetting kids events when you have more than one.
Yes,
and
that's true. It might be more of a learned skill if you're in the mom role.
Yeah, moms have to make lists.
It was a learned skill, the calendaring and the lists.
Yeah, I can't think of what other people in my family would do, but I do have like a 6 and a 7 and a 2, and you know, I have the numbers, but it's hard for me to think of what they'd rather do in the Uno game. Can you think of anything, Mindy?
Well, I'm thinking of my daughter right now, and the joke that we had while she was growing up, and it would still be now. So she's totally an achiever, but she's also a helper. I mean, she really could run the world. But she's kind. So the biggest thing that makes her skin immediately crawl and break out in hives is if she thinks she's done something wrong. So when she was growing up in our home, all Bryce and I had to do was say, Abby, your dad and I need to have a conversation with you. What'd I do? I mean,
yeah,
she was so worried about not achieving or not being the best or getting in trouble.
Right.
She's got her life figured out.
Yes.
Yep.
I think that's a good description of your daughter. That really is what Steve is. He's a 3 wing too. And so that's the achiever with a wing of the helper. And he really can't, like, if you give him a job, he will get it done.
Yeah.
But he will be nice about it. And so you can also have achievers with different wings. You know, like we all can go different ways. But yeah, I do like the fact that the achievers, you can kind of just say, like, this needs to happen, and they'll find a way.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing to see her come into adulthood. Now she has her own home. And when I go there, I'm just like, wow, like you're awesome at this, which she loves to hear because she's an achiever.
Yeah. It's funny, Minnie, when you mentioned a couple weeks ago on the podcast that Bryce had bought steaks for Thanksgiving as a backup plan. I thought, oh, is he a 6? Because he was thinking worst case scenario there.
Listen, we both, after all of our scenarios with Thanksgiving, we both think backup plan.
Okay. So that's from experience, not personality.
Once you've experienced a lot of pain on Thanksgiving, you create a backup plan.
Okay, listeners, we hope that you've enjoyed this discussion, and we hope that it's sparked thought in your mind about what kind of types you might have living in your house. I just think that this can really improve our holiday season. So listeners, we would love to hear from you. Come and find us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast, or email us at midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com. And let us know if knowing your family's Enneagram number has helped you to make the holidays less stressful. And we did get a listener email this week before we even did this episode. When we got her email, we were all like, whoa, how did she know that we were going to talk about the Enneagrams and holidays? But a listener named Angie, she said, hello, ladies. Just wanted to wish you all a Merry Christmas and let you know how much I enjoy your podcast. I just listened to the Christmas Traditions podcast and you brought up Enneagrams. It was really interesting hearing how you approached Christmas traditions and your personal Enneagram, and it helped me understand some people I know better. I'm a 9 and always looking for a way to keep the peace. So Mindy, a fellow 9, and she's looking for a way to keep the peace in her house. And Julie, what did you mention in that episode that kind of sparked that email? I think you had talked about your Enneagram number.
Yeah, I think the 6 is given the title The Loyalist, and I feel disloyal giving up traditions, like I'm dishonoring a memory or a person or a season of my life. So I tend to hang on to, I think that's why I hang on to things so long.
Okay. Yes. So listeners, if you didn't hear our episode 2 weeks ago, Changing Christmas Traditions, you might want to go back and look and listen to that one. That is episode number 207. All right, Julie, Mindy, before we go, we want to do I'm a Fan. All right, Mindy, what are you a fan of this week?
This is something that I've mentioned in previous episodes that I bought for my family a year ago, and it happens to be the number one gift that I'm giving to a lot of different people this year.
Really?
It can be found either at TJ Maxx or on Amazon. It's Table Topics. They are conversation starter cards. This has given us a place to have good, peaceful, enjoyable conversations when you're around the table or just with a group of people and you're not sure what to talk about and you're not great at asking questions.
Oh, yes.
So I love it. So I'm buying these cards for the empty nesters in my family, the couples that are empty nesters, because there's date night version, there's family version, there's teen version, there's a therapy version that my daughter picked out that asks questions about like your childhood or, you know, who you were in your family. And they're all pretty lighthearted. And so these are just the best little boxes of cards. My boys roll their eyes, but we all enjoy it. And so this is a great gift for great conversations.
Oh, well, we need to link to that in our show notes because I think I'd like to buy the ones that you rave about, you know.
I've bought a lot this year. They are cheaper if you can find them at TJ Maxx. I will say that.
They might be sold out.
Yeah.
If you've bought them all up, Mindy.
I
know. Okay, Julie, what are you a fan of this week?
Hi, I'm a fan of an Instagram account. And Mindy, I see that you follow this person already. It's called Brunch with Babs.
Oh, yeah. She's awesome.
And her tagline is the internet mom, grandma you didn't know you needed. Come for the family recipes, stay for the motherly advice. Grab a seat, welcome to the family. And she starts a lot of her videos off with, your mother probably told you this, or your mother told you this, but you've probably forgotten it. And she covers a lot of recipes, cleaning, tips for hosting parties, and it's just in a very fun way that she does it. And Maria, I thought about you this week because her tip was on baking lots of cookies at one time.
Oh, maybe I need to watch that.
Yeah, she takes her ironing board, takes the cover off, and cleans it. And I've actually seen this on other accounts. That is your cooling rack. Because she said so many people like bake a lot of cookies and want to put them in tins, so you have to have them really cool.
Yeah.
And this way you could literally cool hundreds of cookies at the same time.
Oh, that's a good idea.
You know, and it's at a good height and it's big. So
yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yes. All right. What's it called? Brunch with Babs.
Brunch with Babs.
Yes. Okay. I need to look that up. All right. I'm a fan this week of a national company. So you probably have a franchise in your area. And last week I mentioned that we had done a lot of work on a couple of our bathrooms, and I shared something to get your toilet cleaned. And this week I want to share something to get your grout clean. Okay, so grout, we have the original bathroom from 1987 in the hallway. All 5 kids have used it for, the almost 20 years that we've lived here. And then, of course, the family before us. So I get the grout periodically cleaned by the grout doctor. But this time I went with a recommendation of a friend who said to use the Grout Smith. And when they came to my house, they have like 60 different colors that they could change the color of your grout to. And he said that it's like a product where you don't need to go darker in order to not show dirt. Like with the sealant that they put that permeates in to change the color of the grout, it should seal out dirt too. So like in my bathroom, I have all those little 4-inch white tiles. And he said that, you don't want to go too dark on those because although they look square, the darker the grout, you'll see how many imperfections and jagged edges there really are on that. That's why you mostly see that with white grout and white tile. So I just went one shade darker on the white, but even that made a big difference. And then he said that this should stay clean for like 7 to 10 years. And he said I can call him back if it doesn't work.
Wow.
But anyways, and it was pretty reasonable. Like my whole bathroom, getting all the grout redone on the floor. It's a relatively small bathroom. And then all the grout redone in the shower and all the caulking redone in the shower and all the caulking around the toilet. It was like $600, which I don't think is terrible because to retile was going to be like $2,500. So I got to
Whoa.
save my tile and I got to just get the grout, which is always the grossest part. That's the reason I wanted to retile in
It
the
is.
beginning. So,
It is.
so
Yeah.
it's not that expensive for what you get done. So I would
Yeah.
just recommend that if you have a bathroom where it's like the tile's still in good shape, but it's the grout that bothers you, maybe look up and see if there's a grout smith in your area, somebody that owns the franchise in your area, and have them come over and kind of quote you and see what they could do for you.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's a great idea.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And you could just change the color depending on what kind of tile you have. Like say you have gray grout now and you want black grout, or you have white and you want gray grout, whatever. They had 60 different colors that you could choose from. Like
I
shades.
can't imagine 60 different
Well,
shades.
it was like 10 shades of white,
Yeah.
like 5 shades of gray.
Wow.
Like, it's kind of like gradients. But they'll also put down samples for you. Like he put down a couple samples of
Really?
colors that I might want to choose from, and then I got to pick one.
Mm.
So
Wow.
all in all, a very good experience. I recommend that for listeners.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Julie and Mindy, let's have a great holiday remembering these
Yes.
tips for the Enneagram.
All right. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas,
Mhm.
girls.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
All
All
right.
right.
Bye.
Bye.
We're so happy you joined us today. You can find the show notes for this episode at midlifematterspodcast.com. Also, please tell a friend about the show and help them hit the free subscribe button on their favorite podcast app. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. That's where we post pictures and stories about all the things we talk about in each episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.